So yes, we are back to an episode of Singapore Real Estate Explained, where we dive deep into the numbers for real estate investments. So my name is Christian, and it's my pleasure to bring to you on table a very new launch that is coming up in just a few weeks' time. Okay, this project is called the Hill at One North. So why is it called Hill at One North? Because it's located at the hill. Okay, there's a little elevated on elevated grounds and facing towards One North. So it's called Hill at One North. Okay, so let's dive into what this project is about. Okay, this project developer is the well-known Kingsford developer. Okay, which interestingly, if you know, recently they just bidded a land in Marina area. Okay, and this is one of the pet project. They like to build huge projects, but for this project, the land size is on a pretty small to mid-size, about 6,000 square meter. Plot ratio 2.1, 99 lease. And number of units is pretty small, like 142 units. Okay, not too huge like their usual projects like your Momentum Park, which is 1,700 units. You can see next one. Okay, and this project will TOP in 2026. Okay, so if you look at the past project, as I mentioned just now, they are well known to build pretty huge projects. Like Kingsford Water Bay is almost close to 1,000 plus units. Momentum Park, as I mentioned just now, 1,700 plus units. Kingsford Hill Peak also hovering about mid 700 to 800 units. So these are some of the background. Developer is well known to buy big plots of land, redevelop it. Okay, and of course, if you have heard about the backstory of Kingsford, they used to have poor QC checks for Kingsford Water Bay. Okay, and people weren't very happy about it. But thank God, because of that, they upped their game. And Momentum Park, if you just visit this particular project, we just got the keys, you know that this entire place looked like a beautiful resort. Very, very nice place. So they have been QC'd before, so they are more stringent in the way they do their workmanship from this project onwards. So I'm quite excited to see how Hill at One will turn out in the end. Okay, and there's a location, as I mentioned just now. Okay, this particular place is located right next to the One North Park, right near to the Fusion Polis and Media Polis area, where you all the research centers, and MediaCorp is just right down towards this area at the Media Circle area. Okay, and it's within around 9 minutes walk to Buona Vista MRT, and another 7 minutes walk to One North. Okay, and as you can see, location-wise, it's pretty equal distance between One North and Buona Vista. And if you like up for a challenge, you can also take a 1.6 km run, okay, to Commonwealth. Okay, so it's a quite interesting location. Okay, and if you know about schools, this is something that's very interesting because we always think that One North area is always like a workplace, people stay there for like Fusion Polis or the Media Polis or research centers. But fun fact, do you know that it's actually within 1 km to a Fairfield Methodist School, which is why one of our clients who bought Blossoms, which is just nearby. Interestingly, they only just found out that, hey, I can use this particular address, fun fact, to actually apply for my primary school in the next, when the kid is going to primary school in 2-3 years time. Okay, so fun fact, if you know, you can actually use a new launch address, okay, new launch condo address, or they go collect keys to apply for primary school. Okay, but a prerequisite is that the TOP date, okay, the time where you collect your keys, it must be 2 years, okay, away from the first day where your kid go for primary school. All right, and something that actually quite interesting to note is also within 2 km from Henry Park, which is all the way at the Bukit Timah area. So this is something that's quite interesting. But if you know, if you are a well-read parent who want to go into Henry Park, nowadays you need at least 1 km to even get into it because it's so competitive. And if you're not within 1 km and you're not an alumni even, it's a little tough. So there's something that you have to take note. There are some cases, people say, hey, it's within good schools, 2 km, it's something good. But if you read deeper into the analysis of the balloting and the past transit history, which we do have it, there's something that we do trace. It will help parents to get into good schools. All right. And next up, okay, back into the numbers for investments. So take note for this One North, here on North, is actually the second land parcel, parcel B, that will be launching in this area, with parcel A being launched and almost successfully sold 80+%, we see later on, called Blossoms by the Park. Okay, and take note of parcel B, the land size is smaller and the number of units allowed is also smaller, 140 units. So it's a smaller development as compared to Blossoms. So PSF wise, even though it may, be staged at maybe the same or slightly higher, you must take note that the quality of the development, when you have a small development, may not have the kind of skill on facilities compared to the bigger development. So it really depends. And also one thing to take note is there's upcoming news that came out just 3 weeks ago that there will be new land bids coming out around the area at this place called Media Circle. So there's something that we do stay tuned. If you're keen to find out more, we have more videos coming up and we hope to validate to you about these updates in terms of land bids, which is very exciting. All right. And in terms of locality wise, okay, I'll just go a very quick one. A very famous few areas to take note is Star Vista, Buona Vista, very huge mall with all the theaters and also all the a variety of food over there. And you also have the Fusion Polis, which is a one-off area, very interesting. During weekends, that day I just went there for a haircut. Very quiet during the weekends, so it's very nice if you want to have a cafe place over the weekend to work. Okay, somewhere more quiet. Okay, so there's some places you can take note. Okay, but one thing that is very interesting about this Hill at One North is that this developer called Kingsford Development actually bidded for this GRS site, and they were bidding very close with the developer who was bidding for Sims Barrack Parcel A, which is your Blossoms by the Park. So Blossoms by the Park, the developer is EL Developer, okay, EL Development. So they were bidding hand in hand. In fact, the Kingsford Developer was bidding for Parcel A, but it missed the mark by $4 million, which in the development scene, okay, 320 million was a winner for Parcel A. Kingsford got it 4 million lower. So it's really, wow, it's just a little bit more. Okay, that's why they were a little not happy. They say, okay, I'm going to bid the second land, and thank God that she got the second bid, okay, successfully at 162 million. So there's something that is a next pet project after Normanton Park. So they're very excited before they even bid for the Marina land bid. Alright. So in terms of the land bid, fun fact, 2021 October. Okay, so it's already 2 years. They have been waiting for the prime moment to actually launch this plot of land, because they could launch it 1 year ago at 2022, but I feel that the market wasn't receptive towards it until recently. They say, hey, Blossoms by the Park launch, their confidence, they are always observing. And that's why, although they bid the land at 1,941 per square feet, if you know about Kingsford, how they stage their prices, they're not those that will launch very, very close to break even. They tend to be a little more ambitious and launching something that is of a decent returns of, on average, about 20 to 25, or even 30%. We should have done analysis for it, so we are keen to find out more, to approach any of our brokers, and we're more than happy to share this analysis with you. So take note, the break-even price, which is the minimum price they have to sell in order to barely make any money, is 1,941 per square feet. Okay, so if you look at the break-even margin, you see if they earn a 20% profit margin, okay, which is the usual kind of gains, they're launching about 2,329, okay, on average, or even higher, at least maybe starting from, and 25% at 2,426 per square feet. Okay, they have a 2,526, which is something that is not too surprising, because you can see in District 15 RCR projects, they are going to launch at 2,526, and upcoming land bids, we have even some insider new launching at 2,650 to 2,700. Okay, so these are some things that we do trace frequently to see how can we benchmark our new launch prices against those. Okay, and with this is something that, although there's no floor plans out, which I think people are looking forward to, and there's no price that out yet, this is something that we may think the starting from price may start from. Okay, so for the one bedroom, interestingly, size 560 square feet, there's something, a prediction, which is very similar to some of the new launches that was launched during that period of time. Okay, starting price 2.4. It could be starting from 1.34 million and above. For RCR project, it is something that's more acceptable, where you can see some of the, even OCR project, they're already launching at close to 1.25 above million. Okay, this is something to take note. So break even is about 23%. And for the two bedroom, we're seeing a 678 square feet, a very decent size. This is a square feet that's taken from Blossoms by the Park, okay, because they are just side by side. So when they plan the entire layout, okay, this particular launch would be close to 1.6 million and above. Two Brasadi, 764 square feet, maybe close to 1.7 million. 3 bedroom, 1044 square feet, about 2.4 million, thereabout. 3-bedroom premium, bigger, about close to 2.6, and a 4-bedroom, which won't be a lot of supply because there's something that we will trace in terms of the percentage. Fun fact, for 3 to 4-bedroom in the entire district of one-off area, if you look at all the development, it's on average about 7+% of all the units add together in that whole district. So this is something that they may launch a few units just to move the unit and to average up the average size to be something that is bigger, more 85 square meter. So this amount will be close to 3.3 million. Okay, this assuming in 2003. So this is something that we do have to take note, because by using this, we will be comparing, okay, what exactly is the right entry price to enter, okay, and most importantly, compared to the resale surrounding. Okay, so this is something that we'll do, in fact, in the next few segments, so that we can break down the numbers to see, hey, is this price a right point to enter? Okay, so because of time constraint and also for analysis constraint, we will be looking more into the 2-bedders and the 3-bedders, okay, in this segment. So we compare the resale, okay, and understand, is this the right entry price to enter? Okay, and the bonus segment, which not in this video, but if you're keen to find out more, we will also be looking to analyze the new launch in the entire Singapore, compare it to this particular project and see, hey, is this worth entering? And that is actually the key benchmark that we should be looking at, because it sets the entire new PSF in the entire Singapore. Okay, and compare, of course, with Blossoms by Park. Which one is better, Here One Off or Blossoms? Okay, so let's take a look in a more separate session. But for this case, let's take a look at what exactly is the resale doing in that area. Okay, so in terms of resale in that area, there are a few resale condo that we do have to take note of. Okay, so actually there are mainly 3. Okay, so there's Rochester Residences, the TOP in 2011. You have Warner Residences, TOP in 2009, and they have something very, very old that is almost 23 years old, Heritage View. Okay, 1996 starting tenure, 2000 TOP. Okay, so we will be analyzing each of this condo and compare it to how one-off, okay, this Here One-off will be faring. And when the launch price launch, why is there a case where we see that the uptake it can be great just based on the quantum itself? So without much further ado, let's dive into the numbers. Alright, so before we look at the resale condo, one thing we have to take note is, how did a new launch around the area fare? Okay, so fun fact, if you know, One-off Eden launched about close to 2 years ago, it was already 100% sold. Okay, and meanwhile, if you look into a recent project that was launched just a few months ago, Blossoms by the Park, fun fact, is today already 83% sold. So our 276 unit, 229 units were sold. Okay, so there's 275 residential and 1 restaurant, which is currently interesting. You're keen to start a restaurant there. It's about $13 million to buy a restaurant. Okay, you can check it out. But it's still available for sale. But in short, the rest of the units, okay, you can see the 1, 2-bedder and 2+ study is already fully sold. So you can see this is a very investment-centric area. A lot of them are looking at the 2 and the 3, 2 and the 1 bedders. And one thing note, for the 3-bedroom, okay, the compact one and also the dual key is almost 80-90% sold. Even for the compact 4-bedder, there's only 5 units left, which is very important to see. The question that people ask, would the upcoming Here One Off 4-bedder be better or this will be better? So that's something that we do analyze for a unit by unit basis. Okay, but one thing that is very obvious over here is a 4-bedroom premium. So you can see, out of 25 units, only 1 is sold. And if you really look at the floor plan, which we actually did a separate analysis on it, if you know, the layout is a little massive, a bit awkward at some areas. So there's something you have to consider when it comes to choosing the right unit selection, even on the day of ballot. Okay, that's why this person who sold is only 1 person who sold. Remaining 24 units, 4-bedroom premium, they are selling at a very high quantum. So there's something that we have to take note. What is the right entry price to enter? Okay, just by looking at this, how this project fares, which is good for Here One Now, so you can know how to select your units. Okay, but without much further ado, let's dive into the resale so you can compare side by side. Okay, so the first resale we'll compare is this particular resale condo called the Rochester Residence. So it's a rather big size event, 14,000 square meter, 366 units, quite decent. Rental yield is 4.11%. And fun fact, ever since it launched, it went up by 51.03%. And it's been slowly creeping up, okay, for the past 3 years. Not a lot, but about 8 to 9%. And if you look at Rochester Residence, why the PSF have been pretty stagnant for a few years, if you really understand the rationale, is because the layout is huge. Okay, it's big. Okay, so you can see over here, even a two-bedder over here is 1206 square feet. Okay, and the bedrooms are massive, huge, big. Okay, people love big units. It's good, but if you look at this area, which is something that we analyze across this particular one-off area, you notice that people are a little more investment savvy. They okay with big, but the price sensitivity is also higher to some extent. Okay, so quantum play does come into the picture, because even with 1206 square feet two-bedder, they're already going 1.96 million. Okay, so even 1302, 2.18 million for some with odd-shaped layout, and 1216 over close to 2 million. So look at this. Although the PSM may seem cheap, it doesn't mean that it's good, because sometimes the total price for a two-bedder to go at 2 million in Singapore terms, you can buy even a CBD condo at 2 plus million for some. So this, when we do a comparative across Singapore, this two-bedroom, the quantum or the price may seem a little high. Okay, so that's why if here one of entered at 2 bar, 678 square feet at 1.55 to 1.6 million, it will move. Okay, this is what happened to Blossom's Villa Park, because the quantum of it, okay, in the area when compared to a resale that is old and already like close to 15 years old, it can compare. And people want to buy something newer, smaller, more compact, as compared to something that is more bulky and huge in size. Okay, so it's something that it will definitely move. But the question is like, what is the right entry price to enter? Okay, to make that profit. That's something we do separately calculate in terms of the returns or equity. Okay, and in terms of the 3-bedroom, if you take a look, even the smaller size, 1679 square feet unit, if you see, it was transacted just this year, August 2023. It was sold at 2.575 million. Okay, it's huge. 1679 square feet. And you notice one thing in common for Rochester, for 3-bedroom up, there's a lot of bay window over here, planter box, huge balcony, bay window at the toilets, at all these places. So these are some things that actually, if you really shave off all this extra space, balcony, planter box, bay window, it could be only about 1,003, 1,002. So it's some things that you also take note. You can see this planter is huge, but they are selling at 3.06 million. Okay, PSS is cheap at 1,005, 1,006, but once again, okay, it comparatively, it is harder to exit to some extent because, as I mentioned, price sensitivity is there. And if you one-off were to launch at about 3-bed 3-bar size 2.4 million, once again, quantum play wise, it's comparatively maybe higher PSF, but people are still able to accept. Okay, and they because they're buying something smaller, more functional, not too much wasted space. Balcony is not too big. Okay, fun fact, RC latch is not calculated into your square feet. Everything can still be able to accept for this kind of quantum base. Okay, but pricing to enter, what exactly the right price? That's something we have to analyze very carefully. Because if you buy the wrong entry price, even though the quantum may seem cheap, when exit, you may also have a problem. Alright? And the next resale we have to analyze is something newer as compared to Rochester. Okay, something about the same age as compared to Rochester. Is this condo called Rochester Residences. So it's even quite big. 15,000 square meter. Fun fact, there was once that, I mean, for me and my wife and I, we love to like go and visit properties, walk around and send a space and feel how is it like. So if you go into one residence, the first thing you will sense about the development, if you really were there once, is that it's very quiet, very peaceful, very quaint, nice, especially on weekend is very tranquil. And yet it's also sometimes it's a little sleepy at times. Okay, but in terms of development size, it's quite well built, quite well maintained. So if you really compare a big development to a small development, once again, there's always a premium you have to put into all this bigger development. Okay, and rental yield itself is about 3.79%. Okay, and the PSF have been going up slightly recently, bit by bit, about 150 per square feet. Okay, and up to close to 1,006 per square feet. And one thing to take note, a lot of them are the one-bedders over there, okay, which we won't be comparing in this discussion because there's more things we need to discuss for 2 and 3-bedder. But let's take a look at the 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom and how they compare. Okay, so one thing to take note for one residence, okay, the 2-bedder are also pretty huge, okay, pretty decent. Okay, not too small, not too compact. But what we see is 1,012 square feet. Few bay windows. At times there's some void area. Okay, a layout sometimes it can be a little odd shape. But one thing to think note is the quantum at 1.58 to 1.6 is about the same. So if you can buy a brand new development of a 2-bed, 2-bath, 678 square feet, okay, about the same price as compared to something that's 15 years older, 1012 square feet at 1.5 million, okay, with offshore layout, okay, with curved layout, okay, it has its comparative edge because you're buying something that's 15 years newer, more functional, as compared to something that's older, and the price is the same. Okay, best is if you buy even cheaper than a 2-bedder. Okay, if you can get such price. And one thing, those that are of decent layout over here, okay, decent layout, 2-bed, 2-bath, they're already going at 1.81 million, 980 square feet. Okay, so these are things that do take note because with this kind of layout at 1.81, it does put one off at a very competitive edge if you level launch at 1.5 million plus. And if you were to go into this kind of pricing and only go into the numbers itself, quantum-wise to exit at 1.8 next time for something brand new as compared to something that is more regularly about 15 years older, it does have its exit strategy. That's why the main reason why Blossoms by Park, if you notice, all the 2-bedders were all sold out is because of this particular fact that quantum play-wise, it presents its opportunity to flip. Okay, but once again, the PSL to enter for this 2-bed 2-bath also very important. And one last thing to take note is for the 2-bedders over here, for one-off residents, there's some that's penthouse with a loft area. This is one of the worst layout you can ever buy because there's void area, wasted space, and the quantum is huge at 2.165 million. So of course, you compare this with anomaly as compared to 2-bed 2-bath here with more functional space, it stands out once again. So this presents our here one-off at a decent light if you buy at the right entry price, right? And next, last but not least, we have the 3-bed 3-bath for one-off residents. If you take a look at the layout itself, okay, it's very huge, 1432 square feet once again. At 2.2 million, that was back in 2022, okay, when one-off Rochester Residences Park wasn't launched yet. Okay, and this year, when it was launched, things were a bit more hype up. You can see a smaller layout is very transacted at 2.31 million. Okay, and of course, if you launch at 2.4, once again, it's apple to apple, quite nicely compared, okay, to that of the 3-bedder. So it's not too high or too low either. So I'll call it in our videos, we call a null point, NULL, where it doesn't really lift the price up to a certain extent by showing that here one is undervalued, neither does it show that here one is overvalued. Okay, this is something when compared to 3-bedder. Okay, and last but not least, on this list, okay, pun not intended, is we have Heritage View. Okay, so Heritage View is a very old resale condo, already close to 20 plus years, completed in 2000, so 23 years. Lease started is 1996. Okay, this is a very nice place where I went there with a 36,000 square meter of land. Beautiful place. You go in, the facilities are great. It's very old vintage look. Okay, so it went up 98%. Ever since it was bought, ever since it was 10 years ago, 2009. So you can see the beauty of real estate going up. And only recently, from 1,100 square feet, it went up to 1,005. Okay, there are certain reasons why this happened. And of course, we mentioned in other videos before. So I just go through the rest of the video to understand this concept of how it should affect our prices. Okay, and if you look into the transactions, okay, from the past transaction, 2023, 2-bedder, 969 square feet, last transaction 1.43 million. 3-bedders, 1313 is about 2 million. So something that's very old, very vintage, but because the development size is huge, okay, it's a very nice place. That's why you can see a 969 square feet, 1.43 million for something that's 20 plus years old as compared to something that is functional, smaller in size, okay, but without the yard and without a utility room. Also 1.559 million. This is actually quite comparable. It's a good point for here one-off because once again, the 1.5 million is just brand new, 20 years newer, more functional, compact in size, but almost the same price as something that's 20 years old, that's bigger. Alright, it's a quantum play wise. And if you look at the 3-bed 3-bath, it becomes a little more interesting, where once again, as I mentioned, similar to one-off residence 3-bed 3-bath, to benchmark against here one-off is about the same point because you can see it's actually cheaper than here one-off. Okay, but it's 20 years older. Okay, so this kind of gap is still quite decent. It doesn't lift the value of here one-off to show it's that is undervalued for Hui One-off, it does not press down the price of Hui One-off by showing that it's overvalued. Okay, so there's something that for the 3 is quite comparable in terms of pricing, 1.8 to 2 million, and layout is also quite functional, except for this, which is a little odd shape. All right, and last but not least, okay, before we wrap up this video, okay, and go up to the last point, you just take a look at the rental, okay? So one beautiful thing about one-off areas, the condo, and also even for a new launch upcoming, is that the rental over there is very, very great. It's amazing because number of units up for rent is very little. Yet there's a lot of demand, especially from Fusionopolis, the one-off area, the Mediapolis area, like to rent this particular area because it's near to work. So look at one-off residence for the 2-bed, 2-bath. Okay, something to take note. It's at least 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 for some, even for the Rochester for big floor plates. So you can see the rental yield for 2-bed range from 3.9 to 5.2%. If you were to buy something at 1.5 to 1.6 million. Okay, and meanwhile for the 3-bedder, there's actually more inventory in the market. Okay, if you're planning to buy for rental, to take note, the old condo heritage will have very little number of units up for rent, maybe about less than 5 to 6. Okay, about close to 6,000 to 6,008 thereabout. That's for rental for old condo, but it's bigger in size, 1163 square feet. Okay, but meanwhile for Rochester Residence, which is massive, 1,006 to 1,009 square feet, you even hit close to 10K for high floor. Okay, but in general, if you want to compare, you lump both of them in because these are both older development. Something that predicted a range of 6,005 to 8,005 for rental. If you buy something at around 2.5 million, it will give you a 3.12 to 4.1%, which is not too bad. Okay, but if I keep pure high rental yield, you can check out the 2-bedders instead. Okay, there's something that will definitely be the high rental yield gameplay if you're looking at the rental itself, okay, purely. Okay, so I hope this gives you a very short snippet of the perspective if you plan to buy for rental. Okay, and last but not least, okay, we wrap this out with just a very small conclusion. I won't be showing any sites here. It's mainly just to understand that if you want to compare Hui One-off, okay, besides comparing the resale, it's also very important to dive deeper into a new launch land bid. It's always very important that when you buy a new launch, because it's a brand new project, okay, you must always be able to foresee into the future, get data, buy data, such that you know what exactly is the next new land bid coming up, because that will give you the benchmark of pricing to set for this new launch itself. So this is something that we do trace very carefully to compare with the current launches within the area, okay, Blossoms by the Park and upcoming launches, and also the whole Singapore RCR launches to actually have a proper comparative so that we're able to make sure that the entry price for our client is set at the right stage. Okay, so that's why, interesting fun fact, back to entry price, a client who bought at Blossoms area bought the cheapest PSF for the particular stack and a particular development itself. These are some things that we do look into as long as the benchmark and the site unit analysis is not too shabby. Okay, so if you're keen to find out more about this, okay, do approach any of our brokers. We're more than happy to share with you this particular segment of how exactly do you find what is the right price to enter for you at One-North. Okay, and I hope that you have a great time breaking down the analysis. And if you'd like to find out more about our home tour series or any updates about the property market trends, our news dash, okay, do scan this QR code right over here for this Telegram QR code, and we will be sharing you all this content, these videos, and most importantly, any good lobang that can become out in the market. Okay, and if you are keen to find out more and approach any of our brokers, okay, you can contact our main hotline over here, which will appear on the screen for the WhatsApp hotline, and this will be presented to you where you have opportunity to meet any of our brokers to discuss more about investment in property. All right, so great to have you here today. And my name is Christian. I hope that you have learned a lot from this series itself. Okay, see you guys. Bye.